going up to now 136 units. So you started at 12, and with the fourth shot, we are now 10 times higher in the amount of those antibodies against Omicron.
那这个数据就告诉大家了，打了3针，和打第4针，打了第4针之后1个星期和2个星期身体抗体的这个浓度的情况，大家可以看到，打了第3针5个月之后呢，我们身体的抗体的浓度低度是在12.7个单位。那么呢，接种了第4针1个星期之后呢，已经提升到107.6了。如果是2个星期之后呢，就提升到136.3了。如果和第3针比起来呢，我们已经身体的抗体增加了10倍了，这个保护性。
Now, does it actually protect you against infection? And so this is looking after 8 weeks after your fourth shot. So this is comparing 4 shots versus 3 shots people. Is there benefit? And anything above the line of 1, so anything this way is benefit for 4 shots. Anything that's below the line is no benefit.
那么我们再看一看这个打了第4针之后8个星期，我们对比一下第3针和打第4针之后有没有好处。如果是低于这个1.0红线以下呢，就是没有好处；如果是高于1.0以上呢，就是对我们身体有益处的。
So if we look at just getting infection, so that includes just having the virus in your nose, you could see that it goes above 1 around 3 to 5 weeks. You have good protection. But by 8 weeks, the 4 shots versus 3 shots is the same in terms of getting infection in the nose. And that's because the antibodies cannot go inside your nose. So we only give you a little bit more protection against getting the virus in your nose.
那个呢，如果大家看这里呢，就是我们被证实了，检测是被感染了，鼻腔能查到病毒的这种情况，大家可以看到，在第3、第4周的保护性最好，这个更高一点。那么到了第8周呢，其实它的保护性已经开始下降了，因为我们鼻子里头没有抗体去阻止它在鼻子里的繁殖。
But if we look at severe disease going into hospital, is the virus able to go inside? With 4 shots, we would give you more antibodies. So now you have a bigger army to stop the virus from coming in. And that's what we see here is that when you look at severe disease needing to go to hospital, the virus is coming inside, we have very good protection. So that 4th shot may not stop the virus from coming to your nose, but it stops the virus from coming inside your body.
那如果我们看最后面这条长长的红线呢，这个是一个疾病的严重程度上面呢，大家就可以看到这个保护性是很好的了。那么实际上它就告诉了我们打了第4针呢，它不一定能保护这个病毒在我们的鼻腔里的繁殖，但是它可以保护我们的身体没有一个严重的疾病的反应。
So that's why the government is saying that we should be looking at 4 shots for older people, people with cancer, people with immune compromise. All of those people will need this extra protection.
对，就是为什么政府一再鼓励，特别是对于老人家呀，或者有癌症的病人，或者有一些免疫系统缺陷或者有问题的病人去打第4针，能更好的保护大家。
And now I'm sorry to say, Laurian, I'm almost there. So they said 60 years of age and over. So I'm close to 60. So I may qualify soon for one of these shots. So 60 years and above, they think that you should get a 4th shot to protect you better.
那我们一般是说呢，60岁以上的吧，都算老人家了，那么就应该去打第4针。
So what about treatment? So there's one good medication we have for treatment of COVID-19.
那怎么个治疗呢？下面林医生会给我们讲一讲对于这个新冠的治疗。
So who should get who should get the medication? And these are the types of patients that should get medication. So if you're over 70 years of age, if you have immunocompromised, if you're over 60 and you have less than 3 shots, then you would need the medication. Or if you're over 18 and you have 3 of these diseases, so let's say diabetes, obesity, any of 3 of those things, then that puts you at higher risk. So this is just telling you who is at high risk of having bad COVID, and those people need medication to stop them from needing the hospital and having the bad version of COVID.
那第一个就是，哪些人群需要用药物治疗呢？如果大家看的话呢，就是一些高危人群，第一个包括他有一些免疫功能低下的，或者是70岁以上的老人家，或者是他虽然才60岁，但是呢打了2针，甚至是1针，甚至没打针的那些人，还有呢就是18岁以上的，也没打够3针的这些人。那么18岁以上没有打够3针的，还包括一些其他的危险因素，比如他有糖尿病啊，有一些肥胖啊，下面这些有一些心脏病啊、高血压啊、肾病啊、肝脏病或者其他的健康问题的。
And there's a website the government put up so that you can see if you qualify. And so this is the address of the website, and I've made a barcode. So you can go to the website, answer some questions, and you can print out a sheet that says you qualify for medications or not. So you know ahead of time that you qualify for the medication. And then if you get COVID, you can quickly go to the assessment center and get therapy.
那么大家看到了，这个是政府的一个网站，大家可以上这个网站，或者用这个二维码扫码，你也可以进到这个网站里呢。这个网站实际上是一个我们可以让大家回答问题，看看您是不是需要吃药的那一类人群当中的。如果您是的话呢，您就可以去这个评估中心去找专门的专业医生去看或者评估。
The government also put up a website so you can find locations of these assessment centers. So there's the website, and here's the barcode for that. So you can just type in your postal code and it'll tell you where the nearest place is to you so that you can be assessed by somebody. You have Care First. So for all those people near Care First, you have no problem. You just go to Care First and you will be looked after very nicely there.
那么政府呢也有一个网站是告诉大家去哪里可以找到这些评估的中心的，您可以上这个网站或者用这个二维码，在上面呢只要输入您的这个邮政编码呢，就可以找到和您住的很近的这些中心。当然呢，如果您住在齐辉周围的，或者是在我们的服务范围内的，也可以和我们联系，我们也有这个评估中心。
Now, the medication that you will get is called Paxlovid, which is 2 medications put together. And basically, what happens is when the virus goes into your body, it makes copies of itself. And when it does that, the protein that comes out is a very long, sort of like a choo-choo train, and it has to be cut into the right parts. And so there are these scissors that have to cut that protein so that you can make the virus parts. And so what this medication is here, this name, is blocking this pair of scissors. So the virus will make the long choo-choo train, but the parts will not be cut. And so now the virus cannot make a copy of itself, and then the virus stops moving around.
这个抗病毒这个药呢，怎么在我们身体里去作用呢？实际上我们现在用的药呢，是2种药的一个组合包装。那么它呢，因为病毒到了我们身体里头呢，它复制，大家可以看到，就是像一个很长很长的火车一样的。那么药物中间其中的一个成分就是 N 打头的这个药物，我们叫奈玛特韦片呢，它就相当于一个剪刀一样的。把这个长长的这个火车给它剪断，把这个病毒的复制给它阻断了。
The problem is that this medication doesn't stay inside your body. So it leaves your body very quickly. And so they gave you another medication in order to block the way this drug is leaving your body. So by blocking that, then now you can keep more of the drug so that it can be useful to kill off the virus. So we have two drugs, one drug that's doing the work, and the other drug is blocking the pathway that the drug is leaving your body.
那么呢，因为我们说这里头有两种药，第二种药呢是帮助第一种药在我们身体可以作用久一点，因为这个第一种的药呢，它在身体里头呢，它的生存时间或者是作用时间很短。那么加上第二种 R 打头的，我们叫利托那韦片呢，它可以呢帮助第一种这个真正起作用的药呢，在我们身体里呢，常待下去呢，帮助我们更好的阻断这个病毒的复制。这个两个药在一起呢，起到一个很好的作用。
So because it blocks that pathway, some of your other medications may also be blocked. So then we might have too much of the other medications that you're taking. And that's why we need to look at the drug interactions, the other medicines that you're taking, and adjust it.
那么这个第二种的 R 打头的利托韦那片呢，因为它是等于阻断了第一种药离开身体这个代谢的过程，所以呢，它也可能是阻断了一些其他药物在身体的一个这种代谢的过程，所以呢，它就有可能和其他的药物产生一些不良反应，这个是林医生要和大家提出来的。
So these are all the medications that that drug will affect. So when we take that medication for COVID, we have to adjust all of these other medications that you see here. Now, there is the pharmacist knows what to do. So I tell people always go back to the same pharmacy to fill your prescriptions because they will check for these drug interactions. Second thing is that you should always carry a list of your medications. So the medicines that you're taking, and then you show it to the doctors so they know how to adjust your medication if you need to take this COVID medication on top of your other medicines.
那这张图呢，就告诉大家，您可以看到很多这个药物之间的相互作用，哪些是可以，哪些不行的。所以呢，就是林医生提醒大家呢，我们要靠药剂师来帮助我们去鉴别。所以呢，要大家最好呢在一个药房去拿药，不要是在不同的药房拿药。另外一个呢，您要有一个您吃药的药单随身带着，任何时候呢，您去见医生呢，给医生看您的药单，这样的医生就可以看看您在吃什么药和这些药有没有冲突。
And the medication works. So these are the people on the medication, these are the people not on medication. And you could see about 89% reduction in going into hospital with COVID. So the medication works for those high risk people to make sure that they don't end up in the hospital.
那这张图就告诉大家，这个药呢其实是作用很好的。看下面那个红色的呢，就是吃药的病人他住院的几率就很低了。那么上面是没有吃药的，是那种安慰剂的呢，它的住院率还是蛮高的，它的降低了89%的。所以呢，药物是很好的保护大家。
So I want to thank Jean Yip and our government for getting us these pills and also getting us vaccines because many other countries they don't have the pills or the vaccines. So we're very lucky to have both of those here in Canada.
那我们要感谢政府和业议员，他们对我们的这个支持。政府呢给我们提供了很好的这个疫苗和药物来保护大家。
So I think I'll stop there and then we can turn things over to questions. So hopefully what I've shown you is why we need 3 shots and why we might need 4 shots and also why we have medications available but for the high risk people and we just need to adjust for some of the medications to make sure that it's safe. So Roger, our pharmacist and the team at Care First, they know what to do in terms of testing in terms of the medication. So we're very lucky that we have a lot of good people working to protect us.
那么，林医生刚才讲了，我们怎么去保护自己？为什么我们要打3针？为什么我们要打第4针？以及这个药物怎么治疗？特别对一些高危的人群的治疗。当然也提到了在这个药物治疗过程中间和你本身的一些用药的一些要调整的方面。那么我们的Roger，我们的 director 呢，他也是个药剂师，他们都有很好的经验可以帮助大家。
Thank you very much, Dr. Lin, for explaining to us why the 4th shot is so important and who qualifies for the 4th shot. So we will now proceed to submitted questions. I believe the first question is, why should I get the 4th dose? I think that was more than ably presented. So we'll move on to the second question, which is related to a vaccine passport. Will it be useful if people do not continue to get shots?
Yeah, I think the idea of vaccine passport was if you get the shot, then you should not be able to carry the virus with you. So that was our belief in the beginning. If you get the vaccine, you will not carry the virus. But Delta and Omicron has changed that. They are able to just go into your nose cells. They just need your nose cells and they can produce virus. They don't have to go inside. So that means even if you got vaccinated, you could still pick up the virus in your nose cells. So that's why I think the passport now cannot guarantee that you're vaccinated, you don't have any virus in your nose. And so that's why we still tell people vaccinate so that you protect invasion. Okay, the whole idea is not to allow the virus to invade you, but the vaccine will not be able to stop the stuff that's in your nose. In the future, in the far future, we might have a spray vaccine. And maybe that one will get rid of the virus in the nose itself. But for now, even if you get 4 shots, you could still pick up the virus in your nose. But those 4 shots are there to defend you. It's like having an army on the inside so that the virus is not allowed to come in. It can come to your door, it can come right here, but it's not allowed to come in. And that's what people are protected from in terms of hospitalization and the bad version of COVID.
When would you like to translate? And then maybe I'll go to Roger if he has any comments.
我是那个呢，刚才呢，大家有问题问了。第一个问题呢是，我们是不是应该打第4针？这个已经不用回答了，林医生已经讲得很清楚了。那么第二个问题呢，就是关于这个疫苗护照的问题，是不是还有用？那么从最开始呢，林医生说呢，疫苗护照呢，告诉我们打了疫苗呢，多数我们就不带病毒了，保护自己也保护大家。但随着这个病毒的变异呢，我们发现呢，打了病毒并不等于我们身体里头就完全不带病毒，打病毒的人也可能是阳性的，那么呢，他的鼻子里头呢，有可能还是有病毒的，只不过这个疫苗呢会在我们身体里头建立一个军队来保护我们的健康，这样的话呢，就是说打了疫苗呢，可以让我们身体更好的抵抗这个病毒的侵袭，在未来呢，可能是我们有了那种就是对鼻腔喷雾的这种疫苗呢，可能更好的能保护我们的鼻腔，更好的保护我们身体。但是现在呢，打了疫苗还是可以保护我们。虽然呢，病毒还可以进到我们的门口，但是不会进到我们身体里头。如果我翻译的不是很恰当的话，你们来纠正一下。
Ben, you're doing a marvelous job. It's not easy to translate scientific terms or even the concepts, and I think that people will understand. Roger, do you have any comments?
Yeah, nothing to add there. Dr. Lin went through it really well. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. And I'll just emphasize the vaccinations continue to be important, and that's why at airports we continue to insist that people be fully vaccinated, especially in such tight quarters. Okay, so I will now go to the chat and read the question. So, for those of you who have more questions, do go through and post it on the chat. So, there is a question from Warren Jacobs. What is the probability of a fifth dose of COVID-19 vaccination?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think people are thinking it's going to be like the flu shot, and so therefore every year we will probably be having one. Now, having said that, there is some hope that of this universal vaccine. You've heard about this universal vaccine, and it might be easier than we think because if you look at the spike protein, it's 1,200 units built the spike protein. And so when 50 units of them change, most of the spike protein is still the same. So even though we say Omicron has 50 changes, it is out of 1,200. So that means every time I give you the shot, I show you the spike protein, you're making antibodies to different parts of it. And some of those parts are the same from one virus to the other. And so if you make those antibodies, then that's what's going to help you fight off the future viruses that may be coming. So I'm hoping that when we give you different vaccines, which may be coming in the fall, we might have an Omicron plus the original in the same vaccine, that when we see two different spike proteins, I'm hoping that your body will say, that part looks the same as before. So I'm going to start making antibodies against that part. And those antibodies may be good against the other coronaviruses in the future as well. So maybe we don't have to keep getting shots if we start making those common antibodies that go after all of the viruses.
Okay. Should Warren postpone a fourth dose, just thinking that this fifth shot is coming? I don't. Well, anyways, I'm not a doctor, but I would say if you need to get the shot, you should get the shot. Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry, I think many people, they're like, let's say, got their last shot around November, December, sometime there. So now we're heading down into 5, 6 months away from that last shot. And you saw what happens 5, 6 months, the antibody levels go down and the protection goes down. So we're heading into the summer. So if let's say you're going to be traveling on an airplane, as you were saying, an airplane is close together, then maybe getting the shot before your travel makes some sense because we want to boost you back up again. And it only takes about a week or two to get you to the higher levels. Certainly, if we decide to wait until the fall, we have to go through summer. So if you're going to be by yourself, no exposure, maybe you can because your risk is low. But for most of us, I think summertime people are going around with other people, maybe going to restaurants where your mask will be off. Maybe we might need the protection. And I think that's why, Jean is saying, get that fourth shot and at least boost yourself up so that we can get to the fall. And in the fall, there might be this combination 2 shots, and hopefully that will send us and cover us into the winter months, which is where everybody is very worried that this winter we might see more COVID again. So maybe we need that fourth shot to get us to September, and then September will get us across to the winter time.
Thank you. And Roger, I'm not going to turn to you. I'll just assume that if you have a comment that you'll just jump right in. Great. So Greg has a question. The study done with the medication versus placebo, how many people were in the study?
Yeah, so it's 2,000 people. So it's about 1,000 people on each side. And the actual numbers of people ending up in hospital, I think, was 8 on the treatment side, and I think 66. So that was sort of the differential that we're talking about. And so that study was big enough so that the FDA, everybody said it's okay. With the treatment, it's only 5 days long. And so what they're noticing is that after 5 days, around 10 days or so, we're seeing a few people getting the symptoms back. So it's almost like the virus kind of, sort of hide for a little while and then it pops back up